This fellow walked in to buy a budgie, you see, so he says, now, have you got a budgie that talks? The fellow said, yes, that there is a talking budgie. He said, he said, £6. He says, I'll take it. So he brings the budgie home, you see, put it in his pocket, got home, and he goes back 2 days later. He said, the fella, you told me that was a talking budgie. He said, yeah. He said, it hasn't spoken. The fellow says, well, what sort of a cage have you got it in? He said, I haven't got a cage. Oh, he says, they love a cage. That's the only time they'll talk. You put them in the cage. So he says, okay. So he bought a cage, £3. Goes home, puts the budgie in the 2 days later, he goes, that budgie hasn't spoken yet. He says, what sort of a ladder have you got in the cage? He says, what? He says, a ladder. He says, they love a ladder. They love running up and down the ladder. He says, how much is the ladder? He says, 30 shillings. He says, give us a ladder. So he came back 2 days later. He says, that bird hasn't spoken yet. He says, was it running up and down the ladder? He says, yeah. He says, does it look in the mirror? He said, what mirror? Oh, he says, you've got it. He said, they're running up and down and they're looking. They love that. He says, how much is a mirror? He says, £1. He'd give us a mirror. Comes back 2 days later. He says, that budgie hasn't spoken. He says, is it running up and down the ladder? He said, yes. Is it looking in the mirror? Yes. Is it ringing the bell? What bell? He says, they run up and down the ladder, look in the mirror, ring the bell, and that's it. I love that. He says, how much is the bell? He says, give us the bloody bell. He was back a fortnight later. He says, that budgie died. He says, you're joking. He says, it's dead. Dead as a doornail. He says, does it speak? He said, it spoke before it died. He says, what did it say? He says, did that bloody shop not sell any seed?